this platform, we share knowledge. We share information, and we raise awareness about substance abuse and its devastating impact on human lives, public health, and indeed, our environment is not spared. This platform also serves as a channel for us to provide help to those struggling with substance abuse, especially those who need treatment. Equally, it means for us to update you about all of the activities of the agency, especially the ones we can provide, the updates we can provide within the short time we have on this space, especially what we're doing to curb the scourge of substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking. It's also important that we get your feedback. That's why it's a conversation. We're talking with you, not at you. This would help us to continue to improve on our deliverables by serving you, the society, and indeed humanity better. This conversation is recorded and is streamed live on our other social media handles, especially at NDLA01 on Facebook and at NDLA TV on YouTube. You can always go back and take a listen to the recording and even share with others, especially those that may not be privileged to be a part of this live conversation. Indeed, let's also let you know that we'll be talking about something very key, very important today, and it's we'll be having a guest speaker, someone who highly placed there, very reputable, and then knowledgeable in the area of our discussion today. It's well positioned to lead the conversation. Indeed, now that we have the Ramadan coming in, it's a period for us to actually examine our youth, substance abuse, and the lessons of Ramadan. That should be our topic for today. But then before we get to the nitty-gritty of that discussion, before we invite our guest to lead in his presentation, let's remind you of some of the activities of the agency, especially this past week, which comes in our news highlights segment, and that will be taken by Luben, Aina, and Peace, the pastor. Guys, let's have the updates for this week. Thank you.
In Ibadan, arrest kingpin. A 62-year-old Lagos-based businessman, Wabuizi Nicholas Izuike, has been arrested at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport, Makia, Kano, by operatives of the National Drug Law
Sorry, just a moment. We'll try to fuse the line being used by Luben there. Just hold on for us a moment. We'll fix that shortly.
to students and staff of government secondary school in the one last year at Nasarawa State. The lecture addressed the health, academic and social implications of drug abuse, urging students to make responsible choices that align with their aspirations. On Thursday, 5th February 2026, the Taraba State Command delivered a weather enlightenment lecture to students and staff of Henry Porter Academy, Takum. Participants were sensitized on the dangers of drug abuse and encouraged to uphold discipline, integrity, and a commitment to excellence. Sustaining the week's advocacy effort, the Kano State Strategic Command delivered a wider sensitization lecture to students and staff of Aisha Shehu Government Girls Secondary School, Pagi. The interactive session emphasized the importance of maintaining a drug-free lifestyle to safeguard health, academic, and moral values. Intensifying advocacy driving the Northeast, the ND State Command held an engaging wider sensitization lecture for students and staff of Model High School, Agbani. Officers highlighted the adverse effects of substance abuse on youth development, and encouraged students to remain steadfast in their educational and personal goals. Similarly, the NDLA Zone 9 Command delivered a wider advocacy lecture to students and staff of the Federal Cooperative College in Ibadan, Oyo State. The lecture underscored the link between drug-free living, productivity, and responsible citizenship, urging participants to serve as advocates against drug abuse within their spheres of influence. Completing the group's activities on Friday, 6th February 2026, the National State Command delivered a wider enlightenment lecture to members of the Emperor Boys Brigade, New Cairo. The session sensitized participants to the dangers of substance abuse and reinforced the values of discipline, leadership, and moral responsibility as foundations for personal growth and community development. That's the update for this week. My name is Peace, and I hand over to our host, Mr. Femi Babafemi.
All right, thank you very much, dear Lubem and Peace. Welcome back from the online segment, and I should remind ourselves about some of the rules guiding our engagement on this platform today. Please note that when you are approved to be on the speaker's corner, you are expected to remain muted until after the presentation by our guest speaker, who is already well seated on the space, and until after his presentation, and then we start inviting individuals to unmute themselves, ask questions, or make their contributions in few seconds. Thank you very much. We appreciate you because we can always trust your cooperation every week. Now, quickly, let's remind you about the NDLA's call center. At the NDLA call center, where we have professionals ranging from counselors, clinical psychologists, psychotherapists, and psychiatric doctors. They work 24/7, every minute, every second, every day of the week, right at the set. Those struggling with abuse of Department of Architecture at this University, Abuja here, where he shares both theoretical knowledge and practical industry experience with students. A man of faith and purpose, he is an Islamic cleric, writer, and dedicated marriage and youth counselor. He serves as a member of the expanded General Purpose Committee of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, NSCIA. He is the founder of Darul Tawhid Islamic Center, a member of the Board of Trustees of From Coal to Diamond, and the principal mentor and counselor of the Muslim Youth Discussion Circle, platform through which he nurtures moral, spiritual, and leadership growth among young people. In recognition of his leadership, integrity, and societal contributions, he was honored with the African Role Model Award 2022 by African Young Leaders for Good Governance. Outside his professional and humanitarian engagements, Abdullah enjoys playing polo, reflecting his appreciation for discipline, strategy, and teamwork both on and off the field. Abdullah Musa Abdul, the pen Abdul, stands as a symbol of excellent service and impactful leadership and inspiration to professionals, youth, and communities across Africa. Please join me in welcoming our guest speaker today as I invite him to unmute himself while we listen to him for the next 20 minutes thereabout, discuss our topic for today, youth, substance abuse, and the lessons of Ramadan. Please go ahead with your presentation, Malam Abdul. It's a pleasure to have you again. This is about the second time we will be hosting you on this platform. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, and I'm deeply humbled by this generous introduction by our father, the Director of Media and Advocacy of NDLEA, Femi Babafemi. It was thrilling to listen to you and humbling at the same time. And I'm honored to be here this afternoon to share the little that we know in order to serve as a reminder for all of us, and then to help the NDLEA in their fight against drug abuse and ensuring that the future of the youth is well secured. I'm really pleased to be here once again. It's my pleasure, and thank you all. And to the listeners, the topic we have for discussion is youth, substance abuse, and the lessons of Ramadan. This is an important topic because the reality that stares before all of us is that we're suffering from the problem of substance abuse, and largely it is not restricted or limited to the youth, but the youth share in the larger population of those that fall victim to this case of substance abuse. So in order to unpack the topic, it is important for us to take each of the aspects of the topic and understand it, so that when we treat it as a whole, it will make more sense. So it's important for us to understand the perspective. For example, the perspective of Islam, or the general perspective of who a youth is, and then what substance abuse is, and then the lessons of Ramadan generally, so that we can create a nexus between all the elements of the topic that we have for discussion. So it's important for us to understand the definition of who a youth is. As we know, generally, I don't think there is any I don't think there is any definition of who a youth is that has been generally adopted by all stakeholders when it comes to dealing with youth. But in Islam, youth, called in Arabic shabab, this is a very important age, and is generally viewed to be at the inception of the youthful age is the beginning of the age of puberty. Once a male or a female attains the age of puberty, that ushers in the youthful age, from the Islamic perspective, and then it differs from culture, geographical location. Some they can experience it as early as the age of 13, some 14, some 15, as the case might be. And this lasts approximately to the age of 40. We are talking about the extreme of it. Otherwise, there are some that have the opinion that it is at the age of 30, the youthful age elapses. It is important for us to understand that this youthful age is the window period between between being a child and an adult. Is the window period, is the bridge between these two critical stages. As a child, you are not liable. You are not legally responsible because you are a child. But it doesn't mean that if a child is found abusing a substance, he will not be stopped or cautioned. It just means that as a child, you are not legally liable. But the moment you attain the age of puberty, which ushers in the age of the youthful age, then you become legally responsible. And that is what is known as the mukallaf in Islam. So, and it lasts till the age of 30, according to some scholars, and according to some scholars, 40. And I can understand why the from that are in this window period. Whenever they are found doing something that is not right, they usually defend themselves by saying, I know what I'm doing. Now, it is important also for us to appreciate that Islam has given special priority to the youth, because Quran itself, which is the primary source of our knowledge as Muslims and guidance, Quran tells us the role that the youth played in nation building, which means the youth need to be taken care of. They need to be protected from anything that will befog their minds, anything that will affect their sanity, anything that will physically harm them, because the youth, if they are properly protected, then the future of the societies that they live in will be bright. So Islam tells us, for example, Abraham, we all know, whether you're a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew, there is this common belief of the status and the common recognition of the status of Abraham. So Abraham, when he fought against his people that were idol worshippers, he did that when he was in his youthful age, because that is the age of strength, the age of stamina, and others. So I don't want us to dwell much on this age. It's important for us to understand that is the golden window, the period before old age, which must be taken care of. And then it is also important for us to appreciate the fact that we will be accountable for whatever decision we will make in this period of existence, which means most of the times a person is made or marred with respect to how he treats his youthful age. And sometimes, someone might be reckless during his youthful age, and then at later part of his life, he now knows better, which we are all that will fall into this category. So the value that you attach to this youthful age is to educate the youth, and is the most important program for all youth, to educate them, because at this youthful age, yes, we know that the mind is fresh because it has not been exposed to so many things, less experience. So the mind is fresh and young, therefore liable and very conducive to absorb information. So the Islamic and the academic education and the life lessons must be encouraged at this youthful age. And then, if this is understood, then now we'll discuss briefly what substance abuse is and what NDLA has been discussing, and listen to the news segment. It was amazing, the amazing work that NDLA has been doing, in nabbing those that are guilty of drug trafficking, and also offering psychotherapy for those that are victims of substance abuse. That is an excellent job to do, because it means that you are deliberate in trying to see that you curb the menace of drug abuse. So substance abuse, as we know generally, the National Cancer Institute defined substance abuse to be the use of illegal drugs or the use of prescription or over-the-counter drugs, which means, you have, like tramadol that was mentioned. You have tramadol. I know, for those that are suffering from sickle cell and other health-related issues, if they go to the hospital, sometimes they give them morphine injection, sometimes they give them tramadol, sometimes they give them pentazocine, penta. They give them all of this, but it is a prescription drug. So when these prescription drugs are abused, and then they are used for purposes other than those for which they are meant to be used, or in excessive amount, which means even if a sickle cell patient, for example, excessively abuse the use of penta or morphine or tramadol, they risk becoming addicted to it. So it now leads to what is known as, substance abuse, which, the negative effect is manifested in the social withdrawal, the physical harm that it causes to the one that is guilty of substance abuse, the emotional wreckage that it leads to, and other related issues that has to do with the individual himself and the society that he lives in. Be it as it may, we need to also understand the Sharia perspective with respect to the 5 core necessities of life, what is known as the maqasid of Sharia, the essential for human well-being and social justice. So Islam has come to protect 5 things, and there is a reason why I'm bringing this, the preservation of 5 core necessities that Islam is aimed at, because in one of the out of the 5, there is one that is particularly addressing the issue of protecting the intellect, which directly deals with preventing people from taking substances that will defog their mind, that will affect their intellectual balance. So Islam essentially came to preserve the 5 core necessities. Religion itself, that people should worship the God that created them alone without associated partners with him. Islam has come to protect life also. That is the second thing, that people should not be killed innocently. We know even in Christianity, an eye for an eye, a life for a life. That is an established rule. But other than that, you don't just go out on a killing spree and then you start killing people unjustifiably, as for example we see in the case of the bandits and Boko Haram and ISIS and ISWAP killing people indiscriminately. Islam has actually come to protect the lives of people, whether they are Muslims or non-Muslims, that people's rights to live must be protected. And then beyond that, there is the protection of the aql. The aql is what is translated as the intellect. In the protection of the intellect, the preservation of the intellect, to forbid it from intoxicants, from narcotics, and anything that impairs the human reasoning. So this is the area of our interest here. And of course, Islam has come to protect lineage, the nasl, so that there will not be prostitution. People will be given back to in the legally weighted marital setting, and then you have the protection of property and wealth of people generally. So that which is of interest to us is the preservation of the the intellect, the akal, and that is the job that NDLA is doing amazingly for many years now. That is the prevention of drugs being used indiscriminately in society, to protect the mind by forbidding intoxicants, narcotics, and, as I said, whatever it is that befogs the human reasoning. If this is understood, then what is the role of fasting now? Your understanding this. So we have the youth. At this point, let me integrate and make a connection between these things that I've said. The first is the definition of the youth. If we understand the youthful age to be the age of exuberance, the age where you have strength and stamina, and then you are motivated by the virtue of being in that youthful age to dare the status quo, to explore so many things. So you've never taken any narcotics before, but you want to test it. How does it feel to take hashish, weed? How does it take? What does it feel for someone to take Cloud9, or to take all these things they call the angelic balm? All of these things. People want to explore. That is what the youthful age does. Then, together with the Islam trying now to protect the intellect, and then the month of Ramadan itself. Now, if we look at fasting generally, as we know, fasting is abstinence. It is when someone abstains from food, drink, and amazingly, some scholars will now put smoking in it, because some people might say, where do you put smoking into? The general classical definition of what fasting is abstention from food, drink, and sexual intercourse, of course, with from the duration of which is from dawn until dusk, from dawn to dusk. That is from Fajr time, the dawn time, till sunset. Now, I found it amazing when some scholars, the contemporary scholars, are now adding smoking to it, because to some they say smoking is neither eating nor drinking, so maybe it's allowed for me to smoke. No, smoking is equally prohibited while fasting. So what do we gain from that aspect of the prevention? For a period of 29 to 30 days, one abstains. For example, in Nigeria now, we're going to be fasting for a period of 13 hours from 5:40 in the morning to 6:40 in the evening. That's approximately or exactly 13 hours. So for a period of 13 hours, you will be abstaining from smoking if you are used to. You will be abstaining from taking any drugs if you are used to. And that's a natural process of rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is a tactical withdrawal system, a spiritual tactical withdrawal system that enables those that are guilty of substance abuse to be able to withdraw from this substance abuse in a very controlled manner, a period of 13 hours, and then by the time he's about to break his fast, he's already exhausted. Perhaps he's just looking for food, and then maybe because he breaks his fast in the midst of family members, it becomes difficult for him to take any drugs, and then it helps him to withdraw, and it helps in redirecting his thought pattern, and then it takes it away from wanting to take these drugs. So fasting generally, because it is a spiritual training, it trains the soul, it trains the body, and then that is the willpower that you need abstain from substance abuse. Fasting is a combination of three types of patience. In Islam, there is the concept of patience, and this concept of patience is categorized into three different aspects. There is patience with respect to the obedience to the commands of the Lord. And then there is patience with respect to restraining oneself from committing that which has been prohibited. And then there is patience with respect to bearing the pains that come our way due to what the Lord has decreed. So all of these aspects of patience are present in the fasting. And that is why some of the scholars will even refer to fasting as the month of Ramadan, the ninth month in the Islamic calendar, as the month of patience. Now, if we look at it from this perspective, and you're understanding it to be the month of patience, where someone experiences the restraining from disobeying Allah, and then being patient in obeying Allah, and then being patient in facing what Allah has decreed, like of thirst and hunger for the sake of Allah, then it means fasting is training the soul. Not only the soul, but the body. Now, this patience, what the person that is a true Muslim and is actually fasting, if he wants to take this substance that he's used to taking, or perhaps the best word to use that he's addicted to, he remembers that he's fasting. And in Islam, Quran tells us that one of the main reasons for fasting is for us to attain piety. What is this piety? Piety has been defined as that concept which enables one to obey the commands of the Lord and to abstain from his prohibitions. This is the concept of piety in Islam. And then Quran tells us that when we fast, it helps us to attain this piety, which means the fasting person that is addicted to substance, or that is guilty of substance abuse, now is able to restrain himself from abusing this substance, even though there is this urge to take it. But there is one thing that is preventing him from taking it. He remembers that he is fasting, and he knows that it's going to invalidate his fast. So he is careful not to invalidate his fast. So he runs away from that object of temptation, even though he has the ability to do otherwise. So he runs away because of this piety. He knows that, oh, nobody sees me. I could actually go into my bedroom or bathroom and then shut the door and take my drugs, and nobody will know. But he remembers that the Lord that created him sees him and is above him. He sees him. He knows everything that is so. By that recognition and that realization of the gaze of the Lord above, he withdraws. So that helps him in the withdrawal process. So, the atmosphere does not encourage any act of disobedience, let alone substance abuse. So I believe that the Muslims, especially, we take advantage of this month of Ramadan to sensitize those that want to withdraw from substance abuse. That this here is a great opportunity for you. You have a month ahead of you, a whole month, and then if you train yourself in this withdrawal process for the whole month of Ramadan, and then you substitute that with righteous deeds, like we know the Muslims are encouraged to read a lot of the Quran, they're encouraged to listen to a lot of Quran, they're encouraged to remember Allah much, to seek for forgiveness, and to feed the poor and the needy. The more you do righteous deeds, the farther you are away from evil deeds. And then the fact that the atmosphere is spiritually charged, and then everyone around you is trying to get spiritual, it makes you know there is this thing about the environment that we live in, what the Arabs will call bi'ah. The environmental factor is key. Environmental factor is key in helping people from their withdrawal process. Because if you are running away from substance abuse, but the people that you meet every day are people that abuse substances, it will be a cycle for you. It will be a cycle for you. You will never be able to get out of it. So the best way is to run away from your object of temptation. Those that encourage you to abuse this substance, if you want to withdraw, you have to run away from them. And then you have to look for alternative companionship. Those that will encourage you, those that will, if you're in their company, you dare not even think of taking any drugs. And that is what the message of Ramadan will lead to. Because if everyone is spiritual, the guy by your left, the guy by your right is trying to read the Quran, or is trying to give charity, or is trying to remember Allah. You see his lips moving, is avoiding anything that will, tame his spiritual strength, is avoiding anything that will lead to the detraction of his reward while fasting. He doesn't abuse, he doesn't entertain any vulgarity, he does not go into any prohibited place. He controls himself. If you find yourself in an environment where everyone is trying to do righteousness, I think it's sufficient for you to have your journey away from substance abuse made easy for you. And then it's important also for the Muslims, of course, and the general populace to understand that it is not only the Muslims that are fasting in the month of Ramadan that are encouraged to run away from substance abuse. We're looking at it from the perspective of nation building. If the youth destroy its life with substance abuse, then there is no future for that youth. The first casualty is the person himself, and then the next in line is the family of the person that is guilty of substance abuse, emotional wreckage, and what have you, and then the society at large. So, which do we want to be? The one that will be beneficial to ourselves, because you have to be responsible first and beneficial to yourself first before you can be able to extend that benefit to others. If you cannot benefit yourself, suffice to say that it is an action in futility if you try to extend benefit to others. And that is why it is important for people to understand the harm that is there in substance abuse, because the first casualty is you yourself. Nobody suffers more than you. Nobody suffers more than your family members. Nobody suffers more than your beloved companions. So it's important for us to take advantage of the month of Ramadan to get spiritual and to run away from substance abuse. As I've mentioned during the course of my discussion, that the atmosphere makes it easy for one to run away from substance abuse, because the atmosphere is charged spiritually. And I hope I've been able to, within this short period of time, to lighten up this conversation with our able host, Mr. Femi Baba Femi. Nice talking to you all, and thanks to the listeners also. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Malam Abdul, popularly known as Ben Abdul. It's a pleasure also to listen to you deliver that catchy and very, very, very potent presentation. Thank you very much. Within a very short space, indeed, Abdullah, architect, I like to put that before his name, even though he didn't introduce himself as such, but indeed, he's a certified architect, a successful businessman, an Islamic cleric, a faith leader, an academic, quite a lot rolled into one. Thank you very much for that brilliant and excellent presentation. We'd like to appreciate not only our guest speaker, but all our compatriots joining us joining us across all the platforms. We want to appreciate those who are joining us via our Facebook page. Thank you very much. And those who are joining via our YouTube channel, also, we appreciate you. Thank you very much, everyone, for being a part of the conversation right on the X space here. We would like to appreciate all our compatriots joining us from across the world. Thank you very much for finding time, especially those who has some time difference. But then you see fun time to be here. Thank you very much. First, I'd like to appreciate Dr. Wahab Abdullah. Dr. Wahab Abdullah is consultant psychiatrist at the Ahmadu Bello University Teaching Hospital. Thank you very much, Dr. Abdullah. He joins us via his Excel Mental Health Foundation. And thank you. Would also like to appreciate Gumsu Sani Abasha. Thank you very much, Hadia Gumsu. Thank you, Dr. James Komolafe. Thank you for being part of the conversation today. Funsho Jimo, Barry Nation, Isaiah Ashimogo, thank you. Asma Akma, thank you. Euphemia, Dr. Loretta Ekarem. Loretta, good to see you. Loretta joins us from Chicago, Illinois. Thank you. David Itoha Mohammed Kau, Olushola Furora, Land Army, Salauddin Halilu, Mohammed Toshuku Nandi, MP Iqbal, Abdulwaziri, Lawa Sanda Latinwa, Yunusa Adamu, Damoski, John, Dr. Okay, that's Dr. Wahab there. Abdul Malik Nahaya, thank you. Obia Bumu Adaobi, thank you. Oladipo EI, thank you. Sumaya Asiya Muhammad Nura Bala Sanusi. What is that? Olawale Konlansin, I will remove you if you are not muted. Alright, let's also appreciate Jibril Hamza, Umar Farouk Abba, SIA, Victoria Oshishi, Ilyasu Adamu Tanko, Abubakar Salisu Adamu, Wale Wuniganus, Adeyemi Latif, Don Lawrence, Oscar Vance, Lawa Abdullahi Gwandu, Mr. Beben, Godwin Shinedu, Ahmad Diegu, Web3 Queen, Abdul Kadir Ismail, Jajere Idris, Abdullah Isa, Muhammad Muazu, Sadiq Kabir, Eyi Kelebo, Ebine Sega, then Oji Linda. Let's take a pause here so that we can get those that we want to contribute and those that may want to ask them guest speaker questions. Okay, so for those that may want to speak live here, please, this is the time for you to ask for the mic. While we move you to the speaker's corner, you remain muted until we call. We invite you to unmute yourself, make your contribution in brief, and then ask your question as the case may be. Okay, maybe we have to start from right here before we start reading those questions in our DM. Okay, let's take the first question or contribution from Sadiq Kabir. Sadiq Kabir, please, if you can hear me, unmute yourself and let's hear your question or your contributions. Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, good evening to the co-hosts and the hosts. It's a pleasure to be here. My question goes to the agency, but before I start my question, I would like to speak on a few things. I am a Nigerian who has had personal experiences with the agency, so I would like to cite a few things before asking my question, which is my first experience with the NDLEA was on my way back from Asaba to Abuja. And somewhere, I think in Kogi State, there's an NDLEA checkpoint. We were stopped, and personally, the officer asked only me to come out of the car for search. He conducted his search and asked if I had any luggage, and I said I did not. He didn't believe, so he asked everyone to come out of the vehicle and asked everyone to identify their luggage. In the course of doing
Sadiq, I believe we lost Sadiq there.
a lot of drugs in those buckets. So he already had his suspicion on me, so he tried to pin those substances on me. But luckily enough, it wasn't my first time boarding that same vehicle. I was known to the driver for a couple of years. We've been friends actually. So he stepped up and made sure that I was not accused for trafficking those drugs. So later on, they ended up identifying the passenger who had those drugs. It was a young boy who was between the age of 20 to 25. Not sure, but I'm sure he was between that range. So he was detained. So we were surprised that they kept us there, thinking that since they had the drugs and they had who was trafficking those drugs, they will ask us to leave. asked us to continue on our journey because we still had at least 5 or 6 more hours to go on the road. And this happened somewhere around 2 a.m. midnight. So we were there for at least 2.5 hours, and later on, they released the boy who had those drugs, and we were on our way. On our way, we asked him what happened, and he claimed that he paid those agents to let him go. They bargained on a certain amount of money, and he gave them the money, and he was released. The drugs were confiscated, and he was extorted, and he was allowed to leave. That is one. And secondly, about 2 years ago, I started writing a piece on the complicity of the Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency in the drug business in Nigeria. But I hit a roadblock somewhere along the line, and I had to put a pause on that. I have come in the course of my investigation. I came across some agents of the Nigerian Law Enforcement Agency that are serious substance abuse users.
Sadiq,
yes, please.
Can you summarize what you have to? Actually, you have gone off our topic what we're discussing, but then I need you to cook so that we can give as many people who will respond to whatever you have to say, just so that we can give other people opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Femi. So to round it up, I have come across a few of these agents that are also drug users, and citizens usually use these agents for backup so that they don't get arrested by other agencies. So my question to the drug enforcement agency is, what do they do? How do they plan on tackling these problems? Because there's no way you can win this problem of substance abuse if your agent or the agency is complicit in this problem. So what is the agency doing to tackle this problem?
All right, thank you very much there. Please, let's ensure that we are muted. If anyone mute now, I have to remove BOC. He's not following our rule. That's why I have to remove him from the speaker's corner. Please ensure that when you are allowed to be on the speaker's corner, please ensure that you are muted. You remain muted until we invite you. The moment you start interrupting with somebody else speaking, we'll remove you from the speaker's corner. That's okay. Let me quickly address, since the question is not meant for a guest speaker, even though that's not what the topic, but then we also do appreciate feedback for people, even though Sadiq would have sent this to us via a different channel, but then unfortunately, the case of the people who were stalking your trip that was halted or paused along the line somewhere in Kogi State, indeed it would have been an awesome thing if you have specific details other than the narration you just did. Somebody said this, somebody said that. Unfortunately, it's most likely going to be pretty difficult to investigate that, because the person you are referring to, you probably don't know him. You probably don't have his details for us to follow up and get more details on with. But then, if it's something you can see
personally, for me, this is not hearsay. I was a witness to this event.
You don't understand what I said. You said the person whose blood was taken from told you later that he was released after partying with something, right?
We were actually there, so he was just confirming what we already knew.
Did you witness it? And do you have the details of the person? If you do, please get back to me in our DM. I will be happy to investigate that.
This happened about 3 years ago, sir.
Oh, we are talking about 3 years ago, Sadiq. Okay. Okay. Then why didn't you report that since then?
Well, we're in Nigeria. Sometimes reporting it.
No, but no. Unfortunately, even you coming to the open 3 years after, that's not too good. That's not, and even if you would have reported it, something you could have done in a DM rather than coming
This
with
is
your
not
food.
me reporting. This is me trying to cite an example so that I can pose my question to the agency.
Well, okay, now let me address you. First, we are a professional organization and we don't tolerate any of such thing. And we have mechanisms and systems in place to check such things. And in any situation where we find any such example or any such incident, we ensure that the individuals involved face the right consequences. And unfortunately, in your own case, it's almost pretty difficult to follow that line, because I'm sure you said about 3 years ago, we don't exactly know who the individual you mentioned. If perhaps you have any shred of evidence, we will still be happy to follow that up, and that I can assure you we would definitely do the right thing in this case. We don't tolerate any such thing. That I can assure you. We have systems in place. We have mechanisms in place to track and to discipline any such earning individuals or what is not in line with the principles and the SOP of the agency. That is that. Two, when you talk of, when you also made the allegation of people, some agents abusing illicit substances, again, we still leave that in, because we know we are preaching, that's what exactly we preach against. And also our operatives, our officers are subjected from time to time to drug tests. For anybody who goes into, or who does the wrong thing, or who abuses illicit substances, such persons may not be fit to be in service at that particular time, and will have to also be dealt with according to the systems of the agency, the laid down principles and operational principles of the agency. That is sure. That I can assure you also. But perhaps next time, if you have any sort of thing, please feel free to contact us in our DM. We will definitely follow up and work with you on that. Thank you very much, Sadiq. Let's take.
Thank you so much, Femi, for the vote of confidence. I will surely hit you up on the DM for further conversations. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Thank you. All right, let's take the next contribution. I saw Olaleko. Okay, Olaleko is off the radar. Okay, Godwin. Let's have Godwin. Godwin, please go ahead and unmute yourself and let's have your contributor, your question for our guest speaker.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Yeah, we can hear you, Godwin. Please go ahead.
Okay, I just have a little contribution based on what our guest speaker has been saying, even though I have not been feeling because of my network and all, because it has been breaking in and out. So I got to understand that he said Ramadan being a religious event can actually make someone who is a drug abuser try to withdraw during the period of fasting. Well, I would say, as someone who is a lived experience and the founder of the Unforeseen Drug Cessation Initiative, that approach of that medium is not entirely true, because the drug abuser does not think right. The drug abuser and someone who's addicted to drug cannot actually think of something realistic and productive. For you to be able to understand that you are in a religious settings, or you're in a religious space, or you're in a religious time to actually commit yourself to your God, that means your brain is still working, your brain is still functioning. That means you still have understanding of what the normal should look like. And that is something a drug abuser is not privileged to have. And that's why whenever you see or you go into spaces where the leader is a drug abuser, or where you see people in power be a drug abuser, you notice lack of clarity, because you cannot actually meet up with your addiction with the outcome and actually have the sense to reason in the manner you should reason. So if the Islamic body want to have people that will participate in truth and in faith, who might have already tried drug or are using drug before the fasting. We should run some programs to sensitize these people. We should run some programs a week, a month, 2 months before this event to let them know that as much as they are already drug abusers, this can be an avenue to separate them from the crowd. This can be an avenue to actually distinguish them and make them motivated because quite alright, the ones who tried to stop that I couldn't stop at the time I was trying to stop too was because they didn't have the mental motivation, which Ramadan can do for them because there's a moment we know that what they're doing is not good. You can actually leverage on that period and so that they can leverage upon this fasting and never go back.
Yourself now so that your background is not interrupted. All right. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I guess we lost our guest speaker. I guess we'll get him back definitely to speak to your question or your contribution. Unfortunately, I'm not an Islamic cleric or scholar. I would have responded directly to what Godwin is saying, but I also believe whatever our guest speaker said, this is also part of the sensitization. That's why we have to bring in this topic to indeed sensitize people and raise awareness about the season and what lessons we can learn from the season, especially our young people, so that they can be well guided and do the right.
Yes, I actually have a submission for the guest lecturer, but unfortunately he's not here. I guess he's out to pray because he does that a lot during lectures. So I'll wait for him to return back.
I'm sure this is the praying time, so he will be back in a few seconds, in a few minutes. That's that. Okay, Loretta.
I think I would also wait for him to come because I don't know who to direct my questions to. And good evening, everybody. So I probably all have to
Right is back. I can tell you that Pen Abdul is back now. He's he obviously went to pray. So we'll take it. Okay. You can start off, Loretta.
No, probably the lady you called before me should go ahead. I think she was first, so I'll go.
Okay, let's go. No, let's go in the order that we started before our guest speaker went to pray. Let's get Godwin. Godwin, quick summarize your reaction so that our guest speaker can react to it, please.
Should I
summarize what you said? Yeah, summarize what you said so that you can.
Okay, what I was trying to say is Ramadan is a good season and it's a season that gets people serious with their faith. But for a drug abuser, it doesn't work like that for a drug abuser. The drug abuser has already lost his mental strength, and even if he's in a space of serious people, of serious commitment, he doesn't see this seriousness. He doesn't see the reason why he should actually forfeit the love of his drug or forfeit the love he has for his drug and actually try to be religious all of his study. So Ramadan season is good and it can actually make somebody get motivated, even if you're a drug abuser, to actually try to stop using drugs during this period of time, which you can actually leverage on till you notice that you are totally clean. But for somebody who is a drug abuser to just come into the Ramadan season and he wants to try to withdraw automatically, I don't think that is realistic. What I believe is we should create awareness, more awareness before this period, to let people know that this is the period that you can leverage on to actually motivate yourself and actually do something that can get you out of drug addiction.
All right, thank you very much there. Pen Abdul, please, you can speak to what you said.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Femi. Sorry, I was off. As someone said, I went to pray. I think I agree with what the last speaker just said. I think what we're trying to pass out here is that a substance, someone that is suffering from substance abuse, naturally needs an external factor. This external factor mainly is immediate family. They offer that support. The spiritual aspect that we are talking about now is just an aspect that is there to augment the physical process that must have been initiated by the family members of the substance abuser, because just leaving it at Ramadan, as he has rightly said, is not going to do the magic for the person. But what we are saying is that should the person be exposed to rehabilitation, and then the withdrawal process. That was why I was emphasizing on the fact that it will help in the withdrawal process, which and is part of the system that the medical professionals have in place when they are dealing with people that are suffering from substance abuse. So what I'm just saying is that Ramadan fasting will help in that aspect, which means something must have been put in place by the parents or the relatives of the person that is suffering from substance abuse, and then when it's Ramadan, it makes it easier for such a person, but not that it will be the main thing that we all hope that it will take them out from their substance abuse. No, it is there to support the process of taking them out from substance abuse. I hope this explains this better.
All right, thank you, Dad. Let's take Asma. Now, Asma, please go ahead.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, Architect Fernando. It's good to have you back on our space. Thank you for offering an insightful and articulate lecture. During the course of your lecture, you made use of the word addict more often. Respectfully correct, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime has advised against using stigmatizing language like addict, or rather recommending terms like dependent or substance user, which I think now you had actually corrected yourself in the course of answering, I think, Godwin. I am actually bringing this up in case you have other lectures or on substance abuse or other drug-related issues. That's actually my submission for Dr. Femi. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Asma. Definitely. Guest speaker may not be a professional in counseling on substance abuse, given his profile as a successful businessman, an architect, a certified architect, a scholar, an academic, faith leader, and a mentor. So, but then that I can tell you that is noted on his behalf. It's those of us in this field that will know some of those details Asma was referring to. Thank you again, Asma, for that correction. It's well noted. Okay, let's come to Loretta. Loretta, that's the people in the cold region. Loretta, please go ahead, Dr. Loretta Ikanen.
Yeah, thank you. It's super cold, but I think we're getting warmer days now. At least it's 45 this morning, so we're grateful to God for a warmer day. I just want to thank the speaker for his insight. And just let me also correct the lady that spoke now. It is not substance user. People who use drugs is better. We don't use substance user is also stigmatizing. So we have agreed to say people who use drugs is more humane as well. So that's also to help you correct that. I want to thank you. And from the profile that Mr. Buffemi just shared about, it means that you're not really in this space. And it's very interesting and heartwarming to see that everyone is interested in supporting people, who use drugs, and the community of people affected by substance use as well. My question is are there specific programs the Islamic body has, to create awareness, like as a body itself, not as individuals, as a body itself, to create awareness and to support the community, the faith-based community itself? I'm trying to pull up in the professional space now. So when I say to help the community, I'm talking about how does the Islamic body, and this is also to Christians if you're here as well, you can also answer the questions if you have any of such happening. How does the Islamic body support people affected by substance use? Probably their families. Is substance use preached in the mosque? Is substance use, our imams and our our religion, our faith-based leaders, is this something they are, comfortable talking about during their messages? Is this something they want to counsel people about? Because it begins to make more sense when you're providing support. Because we are saying that our religious leaders, our faith-based leaders, are naturally our first-line responders. It becomes the substance use challenges in the community. Because I'm running currently a non-profit that is focused on working with faith-based leaders, because we see them as our first responders. And as much as we believe, so I believe in prayers a lot. I'm a faith-based person. I love prayers, and I believe in the power of prayers. But what we're trying to also do is actually have a handshake between faith, prayers, and science. So that's my first question. Second question: if that is happening, how are they helping them? How are they referring people to the right places, even after prayers? And if they are not, are there plans for it? Because as Ramadan approaches, and for my beloved, sweet, darling Muslim friends, you guys know I love you, and I'm always part of this program as well. What is being planned as a philanthropist that you are, as a person? Do you have any particular program you're running yourself? It doesn't have to be something big, but do you have like people you mentor who are using substances? So this is a 3-in-1 question, so that as we approach Ramadan period, it could be something that you can begin to discuss with people, with your co-influential people, successful business people, and how to come together and influence the faith-based leaders to begin to talk about this without shame or without stigma or discriminating people who use drugs. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you for coming to this space too.
Thank you, Dr. Loretta. Dr. Loretta joins us from Chicago, Illinois, US. All right, Pen Abdul.
Well, I think her contribution and question is it's very amazing. And to start with, I think with respect to the specifics, that there are such organizations, faith-based and Islamic organizations that are particularly concerned about this issue. Well, I don't think I'm aware of any that's known to me. I'm not negating the fact that there might be the possibility of them existing, but I am not aware. Then secondly, with respect to discussing the issue, yes, I can confidently say that this issue of drug abuse is something that has been echoed in the pulpits of the mosques repeatedly. Following sermons, scholars have discussed this issue of drug abuse, substance abuse, the menace of it. Now, if you ask me, where is the missing link? I think the discussion, in my own opinion, and I stand to be corrected, is mainly from the perspective of condemnation. I don't know if I'm making sense. Now, it's not mostly on charting a path on how to help these people that are into drugs. It's mostly on how to prevent and condemning in a way that it appears to be a form of stigmatization for the people that are dependent on drugs. Now, that is where the problem is. So to say that it's not been discussed, I think it is not something that is maybe I will outrightly say that to say that it's been discussed. Yes, I can outrightly vouch for that. That yes, this is something that has been echoed. But what is the message behind this echoing of the issue of drug abuse? I know of a few organizations, Islamic centers, that do invite professionals. And then when I say professionals, they are not necessarily people that are of a scholarship background in terms of the religious scholarship, but they are professionals in their own field. They could be medical doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists. I know of some few Islamic centers that do invite these professionals to discuss drug related issues. Now, on the third issue, as to whether we do interact with people on at a personal level. At a personal level, I can say that yes, I do that at my own capacity. On my own capacity, I do sit with people that are drug dependent, and then I know parents that do come with their kids to me, sometimes to my house, sometimes to my office. It depends on my availability, and then sit with them. And basically, it's from perspective of helping. And then I know that most cases we speak about the spiritual aspect of it. Yes, you have to pray to God to rectify the affair of your child, but you also have to take the available means of rehabilitating the child. So we do. I know recently also we do advise people that go to rehabilitation centers. And then I know recently of a lady that was seriously into drug dependence, and I know my brother took care of her. She was taken to a facility here in Abuja, and she spent I think 3 months, and she became sound. In fact, I wanted to reach out to the DG of MDNA through other means to see that if we can use her to be part of your advocacy program, because she's a brilliant lady, and I know we drove her from Abuja to Bidda to take her to her parents, and they were jubilating because she was completely rehabilitated and she was seriously dependent on drugs. So I know at individual level we do, but in terms of the impact it will make, well, we cannot belittle the impact it makes. Like this lady that I just gave example of, I could see group out in their tents. About 50 people were out, ready to welcome her, excited. I think at that capacity, we do 1, 2, 3, but compared to the statistics of the people that we have that are drug dependent, I think we need to have more of that. And I will appreciate the fact that I really appreciate the fact that you have brought up this issue, and it's something for me to take home, at least to sit with people and then have a specific program in this month of Ramadan that is targeted at helping those that are drug dependent. Some of them, they don't even have the parents don't have the financial capability to even send them to proper rehabilitation centers. And I think it's something that is worth taking home. But to say that the faith-based organizations, specifically the Islamic in the masajis, I don't think that there has been this deliberate move by most of the faith leaders to deliberately focus on this issue in terms of identifying the causes and then offering solutions. I think it's something that we will echo, and when it's well noted, well done. I think am I free to say, Dr. Loretta?
That's our name.
So thank you. I really do appreciate your contribution. It's an amazing contribution, and I promise you that I will echo your sentiments, and then we will do something. The impact of which we hope will be positive. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Is it okay to connect with you outside this?
It's perfect.
Okay,
you can connect with me outside of this, yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Loretta there, and our guest speaker, Malam Abdul. Thank you very much. Maybe I also need to help. Godwin, you are interrupting us. Before I remove you, please mute yourself properly.
I'm sorry, sir. I just wanted to drop a point according to what our guest speaker just said now.
The next time you just indicate, we will give you the permission, not just interrupting.
All right, sir. I'm just
you have 30 seconds. 30 seconds, please, quickly.
Okay, I was trying to make some clarifications, because I've come to understand that whenever people are talking about drug awareness, we'll be talking about rehabilitation. Whenever we're talking about fighting drug in society, they will just be concerned about rehabilitation. How about those kids that are criminal, that are in their secondary school education, that will get into the university, and will eventually get to use drug? How about those kids? Why are we not putting them into perspective? Because I've noticed that in conversations like this, we are mainly focused about rehabilitation. And that's the reason why I want to give this clarity today, because we should be focused more about prevention before exposure. Because if you want to have kids who are already addicted into drug, you are going to overweigh your manpower. Because these kids needs follow up. These kids needs to be educated. The way you educate people on drug is not the way you educate people on different sector or aspect of life. Drug abuse is a critical thing that needs follow up. So I don't know why we always concern and we're always based on discussing drug abuse centered on rehabilitation. Why we know that there are kids that are growing into the society to meet these dangers in front without any prior knowledge, any prior information, any prior education, and they will eventually have the temptation to be one of a victim. So, sir, please, I would like to use the opportunity to center this. Let us look at prevention before exposure. Let us see how we can meet these youth before drug meets them. Let us see how we can educate the people before they get
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Godwin. Definitely, all of these are parts of what we're doing to raise awareness. This is not even about rehabilitation. And again, to speak to the conversation between Pen Abdul and Loretta, indeed, quite a lot of religious organizations are involved in this. I may not know as much about Islamic bodies, but I also know, in fact, I participated in a sensitization program organized at the National Mosque in Abuja here about 3 weeks ago. It was organized by MURIC, that's Muslim Rights Council, if I get that right. MURIC, yeah, that's the organization led by Professor Ishak Akintola. I actually went to represent the chairman, General Mawa, at that program, at that lecture. It was sensitization aimed at prevention, what Godwin was referring to. So I know quite that indeed faith-based organizations, and in fact there are some Christian churches that have rehabilitation centers. I know of Redeemed. They didn't do, I mean, they have rehabilitation centers in Lagos and in Ogun State. I'm also aware of, I think, what's the Mountain of Fire, MFM, also does. And in fact, we've had some outings, some sensitization programs with MFM in Abuja here recently, a couple of weeks ago, and that started since last year also. So quite a lot of our religious, and in fact, our commands across the country go to Mosque Friday and they are giving platforms to address Ummah, that's the congregants, those have come for Friday Jumat, to address them. The same thing happens in our churches on Sunday. So indeed, we just need to intensify this and broaden this whole network of like minds and compatriots, as well as partners and stakeholders, to ensure that this is deepened down to the grassroots. We have quite a lot of organizations, both CSOs and NGOs, who are also in this space. I believe that's what Loretta is also doing from her base in the US. Thank you very much, everyone. Let's take the next. Okay, are you ready? Okay, if Olaliko is ready, let's have Abdul Malik.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Femi. Good day, everyone. Am I audible?
You are loud and clear.
All right, thank you very much. I would like to start by commending the efforts of the agency. I know it's been a while that I visited here, even though it was due to circumstances that were beyond my control. I always tried to pop in and hop out as well. So this is just a chance for me to appreciate the fact that this is the second time I'm seeing this strategy in whatever the agency is doing in terms of bringing in spirituality into our schedule here. And just to give a story from a personal perspective, as usual, when I was using substances, then so one of the flimsy excuses I give is ulcer. And I know it's common in addiction circle that whenever, not just addiction self, because it's a thing of spirituality. People just give excuses not to fast. But at the end of the day, I've come to understand that it's because of that automatic process and the trigger cycle that Godwin was trying to hint at earlier. And even though, yes, and you will find in a lot of Muslim youth and Muslim circles, out of 10, I can beat my chest and say that 10 of them have intentions to quit substance during fasting, during these 30 days. But it proves to be difficult because of that pre-Ramadan sensitization. But if I'm to come in and suggest, I would say it's more like the post. Let it be a post after Ramadan. That's talking about prevention now. After Ramadan, how do we sustain this abstinence? And I remember one of the things that helped me a lot that I used, even though it wasn't like there was the intention behind it, but to abstain from drugs was one of the reasons I ventured into that, was to go into itikaf. Last 10 days of Ramadan, I seclude myself in the mosque. It's common practice. Last 10 days, you seclude yourself, praying, reading the Quran, and just living the worldly affairs outside the mosque. So I would say that there is the effort by whoever that is doing it. I mean, 10 out of 10. Now, not 9 out of 10. 10 out of 10 would want to quit. But the commitment after Ramadan, I think, is where we can also turn our eye to and focus on. And so just to tell, most of the things I intend to say was already brought to bear by Dr. Loretta. But I will come in and say I'm willing to volunteer and give, because I have a lot of concept notes and proposal documents for drug use prevention and control, and I'm bringing myself to say that I am willing to draft at least let's make it like more of a storytelling circle, where the clerics will sit down with users or people that are interested in substance use prevention and control and have a discussion around it. Let's start small and see where it leads to. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. We can Abdul speak to that.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes. I also thank you so much for that contribution, coming from someone that is speaking from the perspective of experience, that he has experienced that before. I think generally, to add to it and what the previous contributor said, I think the issue of, I remember there was a time, it was not on X, that I was invited by NDLA. There was a conference here in Abuja, and I delivered a paper on drug abuse. I think one of the things I mentioned before was to support what Mr. Femi has rightly said, that the awareness is there to prevent people from starting the cycle of drug dependence. I think I made mention of cutting off the supply chain, and while dealing with the substance dependence, because if 50 people went through rehabilitation, the day they are coming out, you have 200 people waiting in line to go into that rehabilitation. Because as long as you are not preventing the recruit of more people into it, the cycle of rehabilitation will be a loop, an endless one. So I think And even from the Islamic principle, the Islamic principle, which is also a general principle that is known across the world, the principle of al-wiqayatu khayrun min al-ilaj, which is popularly known in English language as prevention is better than cure. In Islam also is al-wiqayatu khayrun min al-ilaj. Prevention is better than cure. It's better to prevent something. So the focus, of course, should be more in creating that awareness. And thank God Mr. Femi had attended a few of this type of programs organized in the mosque, which I said I know somebody, even An-Nur Mosque here in Wusetu, I know they do invite professionals like that. Even on road safety issues, they do invite professionals to address people specifically on these issues. So I think generally they had a brilliant contribution there, and it has added to our body of knowledge, and then it will reshape the way we view the case of handling those that are drug dependent. Thank you so much.
All right, Loretta wants to add something. Please go ahead before we come back to Olalekan.
Thank you, Mr. Babafemi, for the opportunity to access the mic again. I just want to refer to the last speaker to say that what we are also trying to do right now, people keep saying, let's sit down with people who use drugs. But the truth is, people who use drugs, at the time they are using drugs, when I mean at the time, as long as they keep engaging in the use of drugs, it's very likely, right, that they may not give you that attention because addiction is very strong. So what we are now trying to do is to work with their families. So I will really say that stigma and discrimination is one thing we have to fight with the whole of our strength, because people do not want to be associating people who use drugs. And people are trying as much as possible, to, like, I think somebody in the world called them victims. They are not victims, please. Our language is also stigmatize them, also make them feel they are the outcast of the society. So I'm just saying that the families, community members, we need to do more work with them, in the sense that once they can accept that these people who use drugs need support and they are affected by this same situation, then we can prepare them, train them, provide them with available tools on how to work with people like that. Someone said, people should sit down with them. See, when you are craving for something, when you are dependent, I like the word our speaker used, when you are dependent on something, nothing matters to you anymore. You just want to replenish once it fades off. So let's begin to think the other way around. If you know people who have a family member, a household member, or a sister, a brother. I was telling someone yesterday on my team. He was trying to say, he's excited about joining my team, for the work we're doing. And now he now said because he has somebody who is going through substance use and the consequences are all over. And also it means that you are affected by drugs. You know what he said? No, I'm not part of it. I said, no, what I mean is, because you have somebody within you, someone you call your friend, it means you, by the time you begin to know that you are also affected by drug use, because you have a community member, a friend, a colleague, a sibling, or a neighbor that is using, you're also affected by it. So by the time we begin to feel that we are affected by it, then we'll begin to be needful by not just doing prevention. Prevention is good, but I think I've moved away from prevention a long time ago. I've moved to a point where I want to see people not being ashamed to say that they are affected by substance use and they are ready to support people who use this drug to get help. And any help seeking is actually the way. Because when we only see drugs as like, it's to an extent an illness. Because if you don't treat your malaria on time, you will end up dying. So I keep hearing terminologies here that is trying to bust my head right now. So let's also look out for people who are affected, because you and I are affected by it. So I mean, and as we're thinking about planning and getting put together, why you empower people who are affected by substance, their parents, their siblings, their neighbors, you empower them, and they are not ashamed to be associated with these people, then you will see the change you're looking for.
All right, thank you very much there, Dr. Loretta. I think we're going to be having one more contribution before we invite our guest speaker to deliver his closing remarks. Okay, let's take that from Olalekan. Olalekan, you have the mic now. Yeah, Olalekan. Okay, if Olalekan is not ready, let me attend to those in our DM. Just take one question from there. Okay, this is
Yes, sir. Please, I'm online.
Okay, yeah, quick. Let me take this last question from our GM, and then our guest speaker can speak to them both and then deliver his closing remarks before we draw the curtain. This is coming from Moyo. After Ramadan, where he prays, okay, I guess that should be a female. After she praises our guest speaker for the excellent presentation and discussion so far, and then she asks, after Ramadan ends, how can our youth sustain the positive changes made during the holy month? I will appreciate if our guest speaker can dwell on this. All right, thank you, Moyo. Please, over to you, Madam Abdul.
Okay, sir. With respect to what was discussed by the first person, I think everything that we have discussed here borders around the issue of now proper parenting, and sometimes, you know, we have to empathize and also sympathize with those that are affected by substance abuse, as we're getting to learn the right vocabulary to use when discussing these issues, because believe you me, stigma is one of the things that plunges people further into this type of things. When they feel they are stigmatized, they always go back to the same thing, and they feel is their only safe haven because everyone is rejecting them. And I think the earlier we realize that there is need for us to actually make these people feel that, yeah, we are actually feeling their pains. And until you start, let me give you a personal experience. In those days, whenever we're preaching and then we come to the issue of maybe drug abuse, and then you see the tune, and you're talking about the parents have failed this youth, they are become useless in the society, taking drugs, and then they are harming people, harming themselves. They are not any helpful to the society. But the moment I started sitting with parents and their children that are suffering from that are affected by substance abuse, wallahi, my perspective to how I handle the discussion, even in public space, changed. The day I sat with the mother in my office, she came with a son of ours that I know, very brilliant young chap, unfortunately affected by drug. And then the mother was crying and the son was crying, saying, please help me, I want to stop this. From that day, my perspective changed. And then you really need to understand that you don't just come out and start, just condemning people that are affected by substance abuse. I think there is need for us to start looking at it from that perspective of compassion, from the perspective of being helpers, that someone is drowning, we need to help this person out of the water so that he can have a life once again. So when you meet someone that is affected by substance abuse, the first thing is, how can I be of help to this person? Sometimes your compassion could not giving him responsibility, so that when he feels that you are depending on him on certain things, and that you actually trust his judgment on certain things, he feels responsible, and that will help him psychologically to stay away from something that will befog his mind. And believe you me, he applied that. So I think it's very important that we look at it from this perspective. And then with respect to the other question that the last speaker asked, how do we sustain the tempo of Ramadan after Ramadan? I think the simple analogy I will give here is, in an organization or even in a government setting, normally after some months, people do go for trainings, right? So when you go for training, for example, if you are in the media scape, or you are in the construction industry, or even in the medical field, you go for training, and then this training exposes you to the new body of knowledge that is available within that professional life of yours. Now, what is expected of you after going through this training process is that when the training is over, if it's outside of the country, or a conference that you attend within the country, or a training, it is expected that after the training, you will carry the knowledge and apply it in your workplace, and then it is expected that that new body of knowledge will be what you will work with till another body of knowledge comes in, and then you'll be exposed to the training. So that is how Ramadan works. When you look at Ramadan as a spiritual training ground, a period of 29 to 30 days, you go through this process of self-restraint. You run away from forbidden things. Imagine eating that is allowed has been prohibited for a period within the day from dawn to dusk, and then you are able to restrain yourself from that. What more of the things that are naturally prohibited even outside Ramadan? So if you are able to control yourself with respect to the things that are naturally permitted for you but temporarily prohibited, I think if that training, and you look at it from this perspective, then you will be able to carry the gains of the training along with you after the month of Ramadan. And then to remind yourself that the Lord you are worshiping is not only for a particular month that you fast in, is the Lord that rules throughout the year. So you cannot particularize your religious awareness to 1 month while you are neglectful of the Lord that created you for the rest of the year. So it is important for us to look at it from this perspective, and then it will help us a lot. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We should actually say thank you, Malam Abdul. Indeed, You have done excellently well today.
Before you run, can I just mention something, please?
Loretta, I just sent you a message now.
I didn't see the message, honestly. Okay, you did send it now.
Yes, I sent you a message since one minute.
Okay, 1 minute. Okay, so for people that I see a lot of young people are passionate about the work with substance use. So a couple of us, a couple of myself and a couple of psychologists in the US here, we have been able to get the Nigerian permission, and we're working with the training body in the US here to see how we can train people and get them certification, get them certified as a substance use support coaches. And so that training, it's called Living Vine Certification Board. So what this means is that you're going to go through probably 3 to 4 months of training on substance use. The training is going to be conducted by a body in the US here, and you'll be getting that certificate, so you can practice the substance use coaching, in Nigeria and anywhere. So this is also to say that I hear passion. I will be hearing this passion of people wanting to do it. But the question is that what's in for me? How can I make this a career? How can I use this, to build my interest in the work of substance use? So we're coming with it, and we're having a webinar next week. I'm going to be placing it on my handle, my Twitter handle. Please, we want you to join. Listen to what the plan is. So when we start the training, it's an international certification you're going to be getting. So once we start the
Done very well for himself, and he's impacting on our society. Thank you very much once again, Malam Abdul, for your time with us today. We know it's not easy to take 2 hours out of a busy businessman. Thank you for this love for humanity and the support for what we're doing. Okay, I would like to appreciate everyone that has been a part of this, either through our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, or right on X here. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate everybody. I also have to appreciate my colleagues right here, Rita, Francis, Dele, Mahmoud, Kubi, and the rest of you guys. Thank you very much. Victor, also in Lagos, thank you for all that you guys have done right behind the scene here. This is where we draw the curtain. This week, we'll be back next week by the grace of God with another topic and another guest speaker. Please do join us. For more details on our activities, you can go on our website. That's at that's ndla.gov.ng, and social media handles at ndla_Nigeria. That's on X here, on Instagram, and at ndla01 on Facebook, and at ndla TV on YouTube. That's the moment this week. Be back